Hi everyone, welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Creative Stamping using issue 66 with this beautiful stamp set on here. The next creation we're going to create together is this weight loss motivational little pounds lost card. We're not going to actually do this portion of the card, excuse me, of the little box. What we will do is we're going to make the stand, and I thought it would be cool to put something else in their advice, what they've given us. I did a prototype a couple of days ago where I cut everything out and put all the measurements on there. And I will tell you that it's so much easier using centimeters. It's harder though when you're not familiar with them. So in all, so I cut out the base and I was like, you know what, Brandy, we'll just, we, meaning me, just cut out, cut everything out and go back in and use inches. But some of the inches that would be on here would not look great. So we're going to use the centimeter that they gave us to use. And it's so easy, so much more easier to use than what we use. 3/4 of an eighth and all of that nonsense that we use. The one thing I am going to deviate from is, again, we're not going to use the pounds lost or pounds saved or anything like this. I don't even think we're going to use her. What I think we're going to do is we are going to, I think we're going to use this stamp right here, this lady with the bubbles. I'm hoping that's what we use. And the reason why I say that is because I want to make multiple. I'm going to try and make multiple of these. And the paper that I chose is a fun paper. So we may even do something else. Because I don't want to have to... Again, their cardstock over in the UK is a lot heavier than ours anyway. So we're going to use this paper, I believe. Maybe not. Okay, so we're not going to use that paper right here. Sweet Life. I want to use this in some projects later on, but the reason why we're not going to use this is because it's super thin. This is Colorbach, and they sell this at Walmart in case you're interested. And we're going to use this Craftsmith paper because it, in my opinion, is thicker. It's not as thick as the paper in the UK, but it's much thicker. So I didn't want to have to do a lot of distressing coloring and all that other stuff. So I felt like we could use some color paper. Just in case you're interested and you want to go along with me, I'm going to share with you what you need so you can pause it and grab all your stuff if you like. We're not going to do what it says water brush. We're not going to do any of that. Really what you need is some paper, some stamps, ink, patience, scissors, and measuring and cutting board. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pick a paper and come back. Okay, so again, this is Conservatory, and this is from 2017. It was a hot buy at Michael's. I got this paper right here, these two, and I pulled out two because I feel like we may need 2 sheets of paper, so we're going to go ahead and get started. And what I'm going to try and do my best to stay in focus, stay in frame, stay on topic. Okay, so this, I'm going to try to make this the first project that I don't chit-chat with. Not too much, that is. So the first thing you need is, let me show you your steps. So this is step 1, 2, and you can look at the pictures as well. 3, 4. In case you want to do what they have, this is 5. Of course, please feel free to pause the camera. Video, not camera. Pause the video. That's 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, 9, 10, 11. All right, in case you want to follow along with exactly how they're doing it, we're not going to be doing that. We are going to alter this project, and I don't even think we're going to use that stamp set, so I probably could have found one that was in metric, right? Imperial metric. So I'm going to get a pencil. And this says, the first thing it says is measure out. It says create the base shape by scoring a 20 by 15 piece of cardstock. Okay. So what I am doing is I'm just going to come over here because I don't have a ruler that cuts, a cutting board that cuts out in centimeters, is a whole inches. I actually went online to look up one, but I didn't get it. So now I'm measuring out 20, and then I'm going to come over here. I'm going to measure out 15 right here. So if not that I don't think you know how to do this, but in case you're wondering, we're starting this camera. From here to 15 centimeters. Okay. So it's giving us a little room to work with. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut off my image, my paper. And the reason why I'm doing it on the white paper is because I need to be able to see. All right. So the next step says, well, what we're getting to the first portion is to score 5 centimeters from two short sides. So 5, 5, and 5 along the bottom. So we're going to go back and measure out. Now, if you want to, you can do all your measuring, or if you know how to use and convert centimeters over, and you can measure. This actually measures out to 1.96 converted over. I don't know how to measure that out on a ruler, so this is what I am doing to make my life a lot easier. And honestly, the centimeter portion is not that hard. It's so much more easier, in my opinion, to work with versus the fractions. But I'm used to the fractions now, so it can be problematic. All right, so why I put the dots is because I need to figure out where to score them. Now, this is the only portion that I have a problem with. I know some scoreboards actually have centimeters. I think the Martha Stewart one, you can put the, I think you can put the little paper across the top and it'll help you. So when I need to find my scores on here, I don't know what's going on. Oh my goodness. This camera, the holder that holds the thing, I'm missing a spring, so it's a pain. What I do is I just kind of find a spot where my line is that's actually scoreable, and I score it because that makes sense to Brandy. If you have a different way of how you score that you can't really put on a scoreboard that's not on your American scoreboard, let me know. I would love it. I probably could. I love this We Are Memory Keepers because it does a lot more measuring than my other one does. So I like it like that. I love it, actually. Okay, so we have our scores, and I'm going to fold this over like this, only because this is our front and not the back. So I need to remember that when we're working on diagonals and things like that, which is coming up next. Okay, so we're actually going to need to use this front piece now because it wants us to cut off, a diagonal. Now, I've done this in the past, and I know that from my 1 to 7 on the ruler, 1 centimeter to 7 is actually where I'm going to cut it off at. And so what I'm going to do is just draw a light line from here to there and cut it like that. I'm so glad to have pictures because that's how I learn. And I'm not too concerned about it being off that much, but I don't want it to look too bad. Now, if you can't cut straight, like you can't cut that straight, like sometimes I struggle with cutting straight, what you can get is a larger pair of scissors and you can cut it. Or you can get your cutting board out and cut it. And so that could make it a lot easier for you too. And if you want to keep these edges, you can. I don't see why you would need them, but if you want to keep them, you definitely can keep them. All right, and so now it wants us to snip up this line. That's what we're gonna do. So what I did the first time is I just cut everything, like I scored everything out and cut it. So that's how I got all those pieces with nothing else to show. But this time I'm going, oh, I folded it wrong. I'm going to follow the instructions as they say do, with the exception of some of the stuff because we're not doing that on this project. I have a stamp that I don't mind using. That would be good. And I cut this off crooked a little bit, so I'm just going to go back and fix that little line. You can also use your scoreboard for that, but I felt like I would be able to do it, and you know, I didn't get it as good as I wanted to. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink up my edges with Spice Marmalade, because all that orange, those butterflies have orange in them, and I feel like that would be great. And they do a lot. They have a lot of distressing going on, watercoloring and such. So we're going to skip, well, I'm skipping step 2. I'm quite sure it's something on Pinterest that shows you how to do this in English, American English, not the Queen's English, right? I know that it's normally the King's, but the Queen is the Queen right now, right? So anyway, and you won't see this bottom portion, but I mean, we're gonna do it. We might as well go ahead and do it properly. So now I'm gonna fold this down and fold this down, and I'm gonna just do these edges. Right here. And I don't know if they use adhesive or wet glue. I think I want to use wet glue. I like using wet glue better when I'm doing these projects because I think it lasts longer. I'm going to use this Elmer's school glue. I'm just going to rub it on this panel. You can use whatever you like. If you want to use adhesive, you can. I just chose to do this. And so all I did was I just pushed this up to it, the edges to them, to each other as best as possible. And now I'm just going to apply some firm pressure down. I feel like the glue sticks don't do as much warping as the wet glue. And of course it's all about application. If you put a lot on there, you may get more warping than you really want. So I guess this is technically the prototype. And again, wet glue, as well as this glue, it has some give to it, so it's a little bit more forgiving. This would probably be a lot prettier if it was double-sided, in my opinion, because you see, this is all blank. But I'm going to fix that right now. Actually, I'm not going to fix it. I'm going to leave it as is, and once I construct everything, I think what I'll go back in is find if I have excess pieces. Like you see, I have these pieces left over. I'm going to paper piece it kinda on here, and this will be that. So I don't have to worry about this portion right here. So that's not a lot, and I don't want to cut up the paper because the measurements are off for me. You know, they're not normally what I would do. So now we're going to move on to creating the shelf piece. And so it says that we need to get, now see, we had this 12 by 12, and I want to try to use one 12 by 12 versus 10 sheets of white paper. And that's what I did yesterday, not yesterday, 2 days ago. When I did it the first time, I had a lot of paper just all over the place. So it says measure 17.9, which is almost 18. And so what I want to do is make sure I have enough paper which I do. I have plenty of paper, by 8.9. So let's see. This is 10 centimeters, so that will be good to use. And this will be good to use. So we're going to leave this thicker piece for later, all right? Because we only need roughly 9 centimeters by 18 centimeters, and that's plenty. But we're going to go by the measurements that they actually tell you to use. So we're going to do 8.9. Again, very easy. So it's just 8, almost 9. So you go 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So right before the 9 mark, right? Which is great. Unlike our measuring system, it would tell you go 7 3/8. It's just crazy. All right, and so the next piece is going to be 17.9 measurement, which is great that they put centimeters and inches on a ruler. I'm not even sure what they're teaching in school these days, so I don't know. I know that they were teaching Common Core math. I watched a video about that. I was just like, I see why kids are confused. That is confusing. It's not good math. But, you know, that's just my opinion. So anyway, all right, we're going to score. Not score. We're going to cut. Making sure it's straight. So you want to put it at the top, not in the middle, because, you know, if you have the same crooked cutting dilemma that I have, you're going to mess it up. But if you can cut and score really well, then, you know, you can put it wherever you want. No big deal. All right. So we have that. We're going to slide this to the side because we're going to try to keep all our scraps to complete this project. And maybe we can use 112 by 12. Now what it wants us to do is score 4 centimeters from the short side and the bottom. Okay. So we're going to take our ruler again and score. Mark 4 centimeters. Even, you know, I tried it. Even with 4 centimeters, so we scored it. It's just not something that you want to try to figure out on a ruler, in my opinion. I mean, 4 centimeters is a lot easier to measure out than 3/4 of an eighth and all the other craziness that we do. I don't know why the founding fathers did not stick with that measuring system. I just don't get it. I'll never get it. I know they want to get away from all of that stuff, but I don't know. I'm really liking centimeters a lot easier, a lot better than fractions. I can tell you that much. So what we're going to do is going to find our marks again. And score. If you don't have double-sided paper, it's imperative that you figure out how you're going to fold your pieces. And I always tell y'all that I need to get some good double-sided paper, like pretty double-sided paper. But if I feel like if I got a lot of double-sided paper, I wouldn't use it that much. And we don't want that. Okay. So it's scored. All right, so I just folded over. Now it says, so starting from 3 again, create the shelf by scoring a 17.9 by 8.9 centimeter piece of cardstock at 4 centimeters from the 2 short sides and along the long side. Remove the 2 corner pieces separately. Okay, so we're going to cut this off now. Again, if you're not a straight cutter, you can use your scoreboard, but I feel like 1 snip will do it. Nope, I needed 2. I try to pull out the longer scissors so I can get one good cut versus doing that. I don't, let's see. Let me just make sure these are not the same size. It's not. So I don't want to cut the wrong side. That would suck. I'm not really a big fan of these Westcott scissors either. I guess I can say Westcott in general, but the Westcott scissors, the other stuff that I've used from Westcott is fine, but I just don't care for their scissors. But these are better than the Dollar Tree. You know, they sell them at the Dollar Tree, so they're a little bit better than that. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to take our spice marmalade and do the whole inking again. Alright, so everything is colored up. Looking for the glue. And so now we're going to put this, and this edge. Going to glue them down, or you can use your adhesive tape if you like. And we're going to put it in like so. Okay, so that's how it should look. And I've just inked the front and the back only because with my mental calculations and actual calculations, some of the butterflies may end up on the inside versus the outside. So why not get everything, give every portion a chance to get some spice marmalade love, right? You got to work fast with the glue though, so you can't be running your mouth like Brandy does. All right, and there we go, we got it in. And now I'm just going to make sure it doesn't dry on itself and it adheres. Like I feel like this corner was drying fairly quicker than the other ones. Okay, so now I'm just going to take this and apply some pressure. I'm just rubbing the inside, so you can't really see it, but I'm just rubbing that side down as best as possible. And in the back, I'm just going to rub that in. So that's how it's looking so far. Again, I am loving it. See, this is gonna require some more adhesiveness. And I'm just, as you see, it just popped out, right? So I'm just going to apply. And I always tell you to get the edges because the edges are crucial to any project, I think. Unless you want the edges to be off, like up and frayed. And if that's the case, then don't get your edges. Okay, so here's the part that I didn't fully understand, which is the drawer piece. I didn't understand that, so that's why mine have this cut piece, and I actually put do not cut because I think it's not supposed to be cut the way I cut it, but I did it that way. So we need a piece of paper that's 17.7 by 12.7. All right, so now I have I had to get another 12 by 12 because I cut this piece wrong the first time, so it's looking wonky, crooked, like I put it on crooked, but I didn't. Maybe I pushed this one down too much. Let's see. I'm gonna leave it alone. This is the prototype, so you know I'll do better next time. I'll be more cautious of it. So yes, we're gonna do 17.7. So 17, count 5, 6, 7. Very easy math. I love that. By 12.7. I'm not even sure why we still use fractions. Ugh. 12 by 7, so 12, 5, 6, 7. I wonder if they use fractions, people that use this metric system, like centimeters. Okay, so here is the part that is going to confuse me again. We're going to take this and we're going to do, it says, so I'll read the entire thing. It says score a 17.7 by 12.7 centimeter piece of cardstock for the drawer at 4 centimeters from every side. Make tabs and fold. Okay, so we're going to do that. I'm going to mark everything 4 centimeters. 4. I get the concept. You're folding and you're going to make them go up, right? I get that. but they're going to tell us to cut something, and that's what I don't understand. They also have a video, Creative Stamping has a YouTube page that I didn't know about for a while until I was looking for the latest issue, which is not out yet, to my knowledge. It's not out in the States. It's out, but it's not in the States yet. They're still displaying issue 66. So I'm going to go ahead and score this. You've seen me do it, so I don't need to keep showing you. Okay, so we got it scored. Just going to fold it over on all the creases, just so we have a better scoring, because we're going to actually turn this on the inside and the drawer will look like this. So now what we need to do is to create tabs. I'm just going to cut on the score itself, because it says to create tabs. It doesn't say cut anything yet. So we're creating some tabs. I probably could have cut down here, right? But in my head, I'm thinking tabs like this. Does that make sense to me? Okay, so that's where I'm going with that. But I could have cut tabs this way, I think. I don't know. They don't have a picture for that portion, so I'm assuming, which is not always good to assume, but I'm thinking maybe the YouTube video, if they did this project, you could, or someone else did the project, I could have went on to see. And I always mess up those score areas for whatever reason. And so I'm just going to snip that out, and I just pull it. And then I'm going to distress it. Okay, so I got everything folded over. Here's the problem for Brandy. It says trim 1 millimeter from each edge to make the size 3.9 centimeters deep, and allow the drawer to slide easily out of the unit. So it says, and I'll repeat it, it says trim 1 millimeter from each edge to make the drawers slide in. So I'm assuming that they want us to slide a slice off of this, which, I mean, why didn't they just say that in the first place, right? And 1 millimeter is so hard to slice off. You have to be very precise with your slicing. And I'm not precise with my slicing. I feel like they should have just told us that at the very beginning of this, but you know what? We're going to go ahead and slice it. And I'm not going to slice it. Like after you do all the cutting, then they say slice a millimeter off. I don't get it. And 1 millimeter is just 1 millimeter from there. So that's so easy. I don't even know. They'd be like, cut off a quarter or a fourth or whatever. Maybe I just don't like fractions, okay? Have you gotten that from this whole complaint yet? I'm just going to make sure I didn't measure this off, because this side over here looks a lot thicker than that one. And you know, at this point, I mean, the project is almost complete, right? So I could be just wearing down. I hope not, because we haven't got to the fun part of stamping yet. But I feel like they could have told us to cut off 1 sliver before we got to this portion. Let's see. Yep, that's way more than 1. Girl. So 1 millimeter converted to inches is like 0.0, I think it's 0.003 or 0.03 something something. And just imagine putting that into a fraction. Like, who has time for that? Like, come on. If we can go back in time, that would be one thing. I'm like, hey, keep that. Don't change that. We need easier numbers. Even kilograms, you know, the pound, I think the pound system is a little bit easier than kilograms, but just thinking about it just rubs me the wrong way. And so we're going to cut this off, and I'm going to try my best to just slice it. And I, silly me, went ahead and inked it up, even though I knew that I was going to be slicing something off. But I think this time, this is the second go around, I think it's a lot easier for me this round versus the last round when I was just doing a prototype. So I'm going to go ahead and ink this edge up again. Okay, so it says, you know, once I get this all together to tape it up or whatever and put a ribbon on here, but I think we're going to use a little gold ball. This is a Michael's ball from a package or something. I was thinking we could use this button, but that may be too big. So I think we're going to go with this gold ball, and that'll be something I do off camera. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to glue my edges down and attach this like that. So we have to be quick on this portion. And so I'm going to glue these sides like this, and then that one. So I'm going to need one glue and one glue, okay? I'm going to do both sides the exact same so I don't screw it up. Because usually if you've watched when I've done the paper purse thing, I always seem to glue the opposite side of whatever the instructions say to glue. So we have that done. We have this one as well. And I just have to glue those because those are the ones that we cut down. And let's go ahead and apply a little bit of pressure. And now we're going to go ahead and glue this down. It's very important to get the edges on this one. Very, very important. Lots of noise, lots of noise. I apologize for that. I can't control what my neighbors are doing. They seem to be up and about a lot more earlier than normal. Okay, I have ink all over my finger. So I was watching Gracie Bum Bum, I think. Gracie 13 Bum Bum, I'm not sure. And she made this cute little project. And she talked about not buying anything and having so much junk. She didn't call it junk. I'm calling my stuff junk, not her stuff. But having so much stuff in her craft room. Like, you know, she didn't notice she had 2 bottles or something. And I'm like, I thought 2 was the minimum of something that you're supposed to have. At least. Because the reason why I said I was thinking about this Elmer's glue. When I reintroduced myself to it, it was drying out a little bit. But I think I probably got this from the Dollar Tree. Maybe. But it was back to school time, so I could have got it from Walmart. Okay, so now we're going to slide this in. And see, this is what I was thinking. If I cut all these edges, why not that one too? So I'm just going to snip this off. I do not like making on-site adjustments when I'm following a tutorial. I just feel like I've done something wrong if I have to do that. Or maybe I didn't understand something, which is a good possibility on both ends. I'm gonna go back and distress these. I'm all about that distressing today. Okay. And it slides in. Now we can't get it out, Brandy. Good job. So it's supposed to slide in and out very easily. So you know when it says, I probably should have went around all the edges. Yeah. They should have just said that in the beginning. So I should have went around 1 millimeter around all edges. Now I got it and understand. This side is driving me crazy, but this is just my prototype. I will do better on the next one. Okay, so now the next step is to make a support for the number cards by scoring 15.9. I think I don't want to do that portion. I want to go ahead and make a card now. So this says to make a card using panel on here. It says on a 9 by 13 centimeter panel. So what I'm going to do is see if I don't have some craft paper already kind of cut out to that size. So this is 10, almost 11 centimeters, and this is 13. Yeah, so we're going to use this. Okay. Don't pay attention to that spot. Let's see. We're going to do the shorter side first because I am prone to making mistakes. So I am going to put that little piece on there anyway, even though I don't want to. I'm just going to do it at a later time, just so you all know. Because I think this is the right size. Let's see. Yep, it's perfect. Because it says 15.9. So right here. 15.9 by 1.5 centimeters, and there we go. So I don't want you to think that I'm not gonna do it, but since I'm already cutting and snipping and all the other stuff, we'll just go from here. Oh, not straight. Okay, I think that's straight. I think. And then it says to score 3 centimeters. Okay, so right here. Alright, and now I am going to fold this over. So score people, be with me. The score gods of craftiness. They have a mall here called Wonderland of Americas. It's not even it's a mall, but it's not a lot of shops in there. So it's not